Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. So today I am back at it with my week 2 writing vlog for Camp NaNoWriMo in April. Now today's actually Tuesday, April 7th. So you may be wondering, Bree, did you miss a day between these vlogs? You're right. I did not vlog or film really anything as yesterday. And by anything, I mean literally I didn't film anything. I don't know why I said it like that, but I basically just did not film. I wasn't in the mood. I don't know, it was just a weird day mentally, where I didn't have a lot to do, but I kept finding things to do and trying to keep myself busy just so I didn't fall into this weird mindset. But I did actually write, which, unfortunately, like I said, I didn't film anything, but I wrote. And I actually ended up adding almost 1,000 words, which is pretty exciting, I would say. So basically the reason I didn't film yesterday was because instead of coming down here into my normal writing room, I ended up just taking my laptop and writing in our living room while my husband played video games last night. And like I said, I ended up adding almost 1,000 words. I had left, so on Sunday, April 5th, I ended with 59,358 words, and yesterday I went up to 60,127 words, and today I am just kind of writing a little bit more. I just sat down here to write, and I'm kind of excited to see what I'm going to add. I'm officially on chapter 3, and this is the first chapter that's going to be in a new perspective. My whole entire book is 2 perspectives. The prologue kind of has an overview, like a third person omniscient kind of chapter to kind of set up everything. And then the first 2 chapters are one character, and now chapter 3 is going to introduce the second main character. And I'm really excited because I love her because of magic, and that's all I'll say. Basically, actually, the biggest thing that I'm kind of worrying with right now is whether or not, initially, as I mentioned in this vlog, I'm working on a young adult fantasy, but I'm wondering if it actually is young adult or if it can be technically an adult fantasy, just because some of the themes I'm adding in could be either or. I mean, age-wise, I'm not aging them up. They are going to stay 17 because that is what was working for me, and I like them at that age. But I don't necessarily think that the content has to be young adult at this point. So, if anything, the best comparison I would have to this would be Naomi Novik's series, or not really series, but her books, Uprooted, Spinning Silver. They have younger protagonists, especially Uprooted. Uprooted is like a single point of view, and it really follows like a 17-year-old. So I would definitely say that. I know that's considered adult fantasy, and that would be how I might be able to pitch this as adult, but it's just been interesting as I'm writing it, how I'm slowly throwing out things that were so specifically young adult that now I hate as I'm rewriting these and rereading them for the first time in a year and a half. Especially just some of the convenient plot points. I'm definitely making things harder. For instance, I had this one plot where they find they're going through an abandoned tunnel or whatever, and honestly it makes no sense. It was just convenient. Hey, here's a tunnel underneath our house and leads up to the mountains. Let's use it to escape. And that's dumb. Why would they have a tunnel underneath their house? And it's just a normal cottage. It's not anything fancy. So, that's gone now. And I feel the way that I, wrote the scene now makes so much more sense. And it's a little bit more high stakes because there is a possibility of getting caught because they can't go anywhere. They're in a basement and they're stuck, essentially. So, I'm just having a lot of fun editing. And this is probably... I feel I've been very productive because it might not seem like a lot, but considering that I'm cutting things out and adding a lot in, I've been getting several hundred to 1,000 words since I've started, and it's pretty crazy when you think about it. I started this book with 58,242. The first 2 days I kind of lowered a little bit because I cut out a lot, but since then I've just been adding every single day I'm writing. So I'm cutting things out and adding things in, and it's just a pretty fun feeling. But as I said, today I'm actually going to write in my second main character, and I'm really excited because I miss her, and I'm so excited about some of the things I'm adding in for her now. But I will say, the other thing is when I was writing this book the first time, I ended up this character that I'm going into now, the second main character, I initially didn't love her until I started adding all these fun bits in for her, and she ended up being my favorite of the two characters. And it was kind of sad because the first character I had so much hope and hype for, and then it fell through when I was writing her. But now that I'm giving her a better character arc, I'm so excited to write both of them. And I think they're both going to have unique and interesting and strong plot points and storylines that they didn't have equally in the first draft. So that's where I am. I'm rambling a lot. I just wanted to kind of give all that information, and hopefully this vlog will just be me like kind of checking in and out throughout the days for the rest of the week, because now this is our first full week that we're doing it. So I'll check back in at some point either today, or if for some reason I'll check in tomorrow morning. Okay. Hi guys. Bye. Real quick check-in. Like real quick. I did write a little bit more. I only added like 200 words. I kind of got really distracted between dinner and Westworld and video games, and I'm really satisfied with where I'm going, but yeah, nothing really to report. So I just wanted to kind of follow up tonight before I forgot, and then it was another day before I checked in, because I keep doing that, and I don't want it to become a habit. So that's where I'm at. That's my check-in. I'm going to write more tomorrow. I'll update you guys then. Okay, bye. Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, April 9th, and yes, I missed yesterday. Again, I feel like it's never a NaNo vlog at this point on my channel without me having one really bad week. And it's not so much that I'm having a bad week of writing, but I was having pretty much difficulty with my job. I just have a lot of clients who are struggling with everything that's happening in the world, and because I can't go see them in person, I'm opening cases, and it's just a real weird time to be a therapist. And yesterday there was just a lot that was kind of like imploding and like being stacked on my plate. So I ended up not writing. I might have added like 5 words to the novel yesterday, but I couldn't. Like, honestly, like I just shut down. I was so tired by the end of the workday, and I went to bed at like 8 o'clock, and that was it. I was supposed to have a writing night with my friends, and I couldn't do that either. So here we are. It is now Thursday. It's 7 o'clock. I am done for the workday. I got permission to silence my phone for the next 2 hours so that I'm not on call, and I am going to kind of just sit back and do a little bit of editing. I do have my writers group, so my friends that have been on my channel, Maggie and Caitlin, we are going to FaceTime each other, and Caitlin and I are going to do some edits on our co-written book. But in the meantime, before they end up calling me through FaceTime, or Facebook, I guess, really. It's probably Messenger, whatever they do. Before they end up face chatting with me, I am going to try to get a little bit more edits done in my book. And even if I only add like 100 words or just change a few things, at least I did a little bit of something today. So that's where I'm at. I am feeling a little bit better. I have the weekend ahead of me, and I'm going to get some editing done. So I will check in at some point later. Because she needs to figure out how to get there. But I mean, I think it's mostly of, well, actually,
I don't think we have to follow her finding Kai. I think nothing's going to happen to her on the way.
Oh, no, and that's what I mean. Like, I don't really feel like I don't even think we need to come back to Dimitri right away. Like, I think it's, like, when she comes back, and Kai can almost just have a passing, like, how did you find me? And her just be like, I was sent here to protect you, and that's my job. The details don't matter. I mean, obviously, if anyone asks, like, we know it's probably like she just convinced the roommate to take her, because clearly, what you set up, she was already kind of flirting. Hi guys, so it is Friday, April 10th, and it is about 4:18. I have 12 solid minutes to do a check-in, because then I have another session, and then finally I will be done for the week. Thank God I'm not on call. I can finally breathe this weekend. But I did want to update you. I feel like I'm out of breath because I've been going nonstop, and I'm not doing exercise nonstop. I'm like typing and like doing sessions, but I just feel so like, run down today. I have had my fair share of interesting ups and downs with cases and opening cases and people ghosting me, and it's fun. But I'm not here to complain. I'm actually here to talk about some of the positives of this week, despite not really meeting the goals I had intended to set out. So, as I mentioned, the first week of my NaNo vlog, I certainly thought I would be farther along than I was physically looking. So what I mean by that is that I thought I would be like making my way through chapters and chapters and chapters and physically seeing evidence of me editing and getting pretty far. Because initially I set out with trying to edit 2 chapters a day. But instead of that happening, what I ended up finding is that I took some time to really plot things out. I kind of sat on some things before I decided if I really wanted to jump in and do it. Because what I realized is that sometimes when ideas come, it's better to kind of write things out and try to like really plan for them rather than me just sit out and write everything, have a second draft, and then have to go back and edit even more and more and more in my third draft because I didn't plot things out properly. And that's been kind of working to my benefit. As I said, last week in particularly, I plotted so much out and it worked out really well that I think I have a very, very solid idea of where this story is going to end up, and it's going to be the story that I wanted originally. Now, on the other side, this week has been very trying, as I mentioned, with my job in particular as a therapist and trying to schedule and not overwhelm myself because, oddly enough, I'm having a harder time trying to schedule clients for appropriate amounts of time because on the one hand, we do have time to have longer sessions because I don't have to drive between sessions. The bad thing about that is that I end up going for 6 straight hours of therapy and I'm feeling very worn down. So I'm trying to find a good balance with that, especially as I'm opening new cases and having new cases that are relatively intense in the problems that they're presenting initially. So I really got burnt out this week at the end of the day. I definitely didn't edit as much as I wanted, especially on Tuesday and Wednesday. And I was almost trying to beat myself up about it, but I decided that like I didn't deserve that because I'm still doing things. And I'm doing editing while having a full job and while in isolation. And that's a mountain that I'm climbing, as I'm sure other people who are dealing with this are also climbing. And I think it's understandably hard to kind of manage it all. So I'm not trying to beat myself up, but I did want to update and say that there were definitely some positives that came out of this week. I plotted a little bit more than I intended to. Not only with Prophecy Project, but with my Project Hope. That was my 2019 NaNo novel that I pretty much abandoned. The problem that I found with Project Hope was the same problem I had with my Prophecy Project, because I had kind of a general idea of where I was going, but I didn't plot enough. And then I started getting into these like walls that I'm like, there's nothing here. There's no substance. So what I ended up actually randomly in the shower deciding, I figured out what kind of my driving force for my main character in Project Hope was going to be. This is not something I'm tackling right now, but it's something that I know like when I finish my Prophecy Project edits, I can go back and continue writing Project Hope, which is awesome to think about, because I finally figured out why my character is driven to do the things she's doing. So that's a huge hurdle that I accomplished. Again, not necessarily the thing that I thought I was going to do, but it was worthwhile because that gave me hope. Last night, as you saw in this video, I was able to kind of have some friend writing time with Maggie and Caitlin and I edited 2 of our chapters for our co-written book, and we pretty much are almost done, which is exciting. We have a few chapters that we have to tweak and edit because, again, we kind of changed the dynamic of how the story played out leading up to them. So structurally, there's a lot that we're keeping, but it's more of adding like just a few details to be consistent with the story. And then we're done, and that's so exciting too. So we honestly should be finished with with our co-written book by the end of April, no doubts about it. So that would include finishing the edits outright, reading through the entire book again, making sure that everything is consistent, and probably sitting on it for 2 weeks while we start working on our query letter. So I'm excited. That's all great news, right? On top of that, the other thing that I didn't anticipate this week, but I feel like has actually put me in a better mood, is I've been unanticipatedly giving advice about writing, which I'm not going to say that I'm a guru. I'm not saying that I'm an expert in writing, but I definitely have some credentials, I guess, to qualify me in some areas based on the experience I've had in college writing and getting feedback and editing other people's works, the work that I'm doing for myself currently, and the barriers that I've seen and just in general, like offering feedback on like passages and stuff like that. And I ended up offering quite a lot of advice to many different people. I offered advice to some people in my writers group for the NaNoWriMo regional, and that was unanticipated, but I feel like it helped them a lot, and I was really happy to do that. One of my husband's friends had talked to me, and we just ended up getting into like a 2-hour conversation about writing through Facebook, which I wasn't anticipating, but it was actually very encouraging, I think, for them to kind of actually hear about like what the hurdles might be if like he ever wanted to pursue writing. And then another fellow YouTube friend, I talked a lot with trying to plot through her struggles in her first couple chapters. And I think she was very appreciative of that, and I hope she was, if so. Because like I said, I just actually really genuinely was happy to give this information out and just help other people. Since I was in a rut, it was nice to help other people who are in ruts get out of them. But with that being said, I'm definitely re-energized, and I think because I'm not on call this weekend, I actually will feel a little bit better to actually start tackling my edits again. I really did not do much as far as Prophecy Project goes, but I'm not like, I didn't lose steam by any means. It was just unprecedented events with my actual job that kind of threw me out of a loop. But we are here. It is Friday. I have my session at 4:30, which I really gotta get off this video rampage and actually go call my family to do a session. And after that, I'm going to eat dinner. I'm going to have a FaceTime chat with some of my family and friends that I haven't seen in a while. And then I'm going to probably spend some time with my husband. I might not edit anything today, and that's okay. But I am so energized for the rest of the weekend. I have no plans because I can't really have plans going on right now. But I'm definitely, my goal is to get through chapter 10, hopefully, or up to chapter 10 by Sunday. And I think it's doable. I'm on chapter 3 right now, and I'm midway through chapter 3. So we'll see. I'm so excited. So I hope you guys are also doing well. And if you are struggling, let me know what some of your struggles are. And, just know that you're not alone. Everyone's struggling right now. It's definitely a common theme for this month. But keep at it and just, find time when you can. Don't get discouraged if you're not getting on the track that you thought you were getting on, especially if you're not full-time writing. Like myself, I can't expect to be mad at myself for doing something that I love if I have other demands that are more precedent to begin with. And I think that's with a lot of people. Like, yeah, it's so easy to think of writing as a job and something that you want to attain. But at the end of the day, it's okay if you don't do it. You're not getting paid right now. You're doing it for fun. If you're in the same boat as me and you're doing it for fun, you're doing it for fun. Obviously, if you are a full-time writer, that doesn't apply to you. Like, get on that. But anyway, that's my check-in. If you don't hear from me for the rest of Friday night, then you probably know that I did not write anything. But I will definitely check in for an eventful weekend, and I know we are going to kick some ass. So until then, I will check in at some point and talk to you then. Bye. Hi, everyone. It is Saturday, April 11th, and I am just starting to kind of write today. It is 6:30 at night, and honestly, today's been actually going really well. As far as like a self-care day goes, I cleaned my house. I didn't clean like the entire house, but like I definitely did kind of like, I picked up a lot of things. I cleaned my bathrooms and just made sure that everything was kind of in place and in order, and that felt really good. I was listening to Blood Air while I was doing that, and then I took my dog for a few walks and short walks around the block, trying to maintain the social distancing thing, but she was really appreciative of that, and so was I, just to kind of get out. It's a little bit colder than I'd like, and that's why I didn't go for a longer walk, but I kind of was able to clear my head, and I listened to the audiobook while I did that. I don't know, it was just a good day. I ran 3 miles on my treadmill and pretty much just been reading. I've started reading Heroine by Mindy McGinnis, and it's a book that I'm like, I keep wanting to finish, and I don't know, like today I just like getting kind of like snuggling in my chair with my blankets and the book has just been like a really good feel mood for me. But the book itself is kind of like weirdly, I don't want to say triggering, but it's just putting me in these weird feels because of the subject matter. It's about a softball player who ends up getting addicted to prescription medications and kind of falls down an addiction hole from then. And it affects me on a lot of personal levels. So I don't want to give too much of like a review here because I'll do that in my monthly wrap up, but it is really great. Mindy McGinnis just knows how to write to evoke emotions out of you. And for me, like being a softball player, especially, but I feel like if you ever were involved in sports and you like loved the sport that you played, like this book will very much invoke those feelings out of you of like that nostalgia, and also almost for me it's the longing of like wanting to be back on the field and like being surrounded by my teammates, because after you graduate either high school or college, you don't really get that anymore, and it's sad. And that's the part of that's really affecting me, is I just miss that team spirit. But it is so good. So I just decided, if I sit in my chair any longer, I'm not putting the book down for the rest of the night, and I'm not going to get any writing done. So as always, I made myself another iced coffee, as my husband would tell me that this is way too much, and he's probably right. I probably shouldn't drink any of that, but here we are. So here's my deal. I am going to try to get done 2 chapters in an hour. I don't care if I don't end up getting both the chapters done, but I would like to, just because I already started chapter 3 of my edits, and I would like to finish chapter 3, do chapter 4, and I'm going to time myself for an hour. I'm just going to give myself an hour, get some stuff done, and whatever I get done, so be it. And I'll just kind of let you know where I'm at from there. But that's my goal. I'm going to put on my blue light glasses and get to it. Hey, so this is where we're at. I actually worked pretty extensively for the last hour. It's actually 7:45 now because I did take 2 like 5-minute breaks because my Facebook kept blowing up and I didn't know why. So like I was trying to check to get rid of the notifications. But thankfully, I worked pretty extensively for the last hour. I did finish chapter 3. I started on chapter 4, and altogether I ended up adding 692 words, which I think is pretty good considering that I did finish at least the one goal I set out to do, which was finishing chapter 3, because I was letting that go for so long. And because I was adding and taking away some words, I mean, having almost 700 words to add in the hour, which it doesn't seem like a lot, I did change a decent amount. So again, I mean, I'm making progress slowly but surely, and I'm just glad that I actually sat down to write, because I was almost going to talk myself out of it, but I think it's good that I did, because once I start editing and writing, I can get into the flow really well. It's when I don't do it at all that's when I trick myself. So pretty much I think I am going to just clean up the beginning of chapter 4, which is where I started to add a little bit more things, because initially in my chapter, the 2 characters in this scene were running through a underground tunnel into the mountains. And when I was thinking about this whole idea, it didn't make sense for that to happen, because one, it would be so hard to make this, like make the tunnel in general, given that like the village that they live in is like the last to get the like any technology or skills like to be able to use that. 2, it didn't really seem feasible that like a cottage that was already there and this family had escaped to would have had the abilities to make this tunnel if it wasn't there already, without causing attention to themselves, and that's the last thing they want to do. So instead of making it a tunnel, I just made it kind of like a hidey hole where they were kind of just like hanging out there until like the issue went away. And now basically I'm just changing the beginning of chapter 4 so that when we come back to them, they just have to they're gathering like quick supplies, and they're going to run into the mountains and try to escape so that they don't draw attention to themselves, which I thought was it made more sense. So that's where I'm at. I'm changing the beginning, and I might not check in, but overall my total word count for my project is now 61,039 words. I'm obviously adding more words to the beginning of this, so it's definitely going to be more by the end of the night. But if I don't check in, all's well that ends well. I am going to finish my coffee, because I shouldn't have coffee after 6 o'clock at night, because then I never fall asleep. But since I made it, I'm not letting it go to waste. And once I finish cleaning up the beginning of chapter 4, I'm going to go read for the rest of the night. So I hope everyone watching this is having a good night. I mean, I know you guys aren't going to see it on Saturday, but I just feel like this has been a really well and very self-caring Saturday for me, and I hope you guys are experiencing the same. So if I don't check in, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hi guys, it's Sunday, April 12th, and it is 8:20 at night. So I didn't check in much today because I waited pretty much all day until it became nighttime again to edit, and basically I edited half of my chapter 4 because I added an entirely new beginning. This was something I obviously planned because, as I mentioned yesterday, they were no longer using a tunnel system, and they were actually able to prepare a little bit more for their flight, and I kind of was able to slow it down a little bit because initially, like, I had like 3 to 4 chapters that were like boom, 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 boom in the beginning of this book, and not that that's bad, but I think like they didn't have reasons for doing a lot of the stuff they were doing. So now that I'm able to kind of slow it down and they're calculating a little bit more, their actions are making more sense and it's just logical. So right now they're kind of, I just pretty much finished like the new beginning of this chapter, and they were preparing to leave and kind of figure out the plan, like what is it that you need. And Macaria wants answers, so this is why they're doing the steps that they're doing, when initially they were just like told, go use this and run. There was no reason for running, there was no reason for anything. And now I feel like that plot hole is fixed. So I added a lot of words. Well, I don't know, I mean, it wasn't a lot of words, but basically I started today with 61,129, and I think I added like 500. Oh, I added a little bit more. Now I'm up to 61,789. I will probably easily clear 62 when I finish this chapter, because like I said, I'm only halfway through the chapter and I have a lot more. So what I've kind of realized at the end of this week is that I'm working at my own pace and it's going really well. It's a weird kind of consistency because I want to be able to produce content for YouTube and the people who are watching these videos. But I definitely know that there's this weird pressure of like, I have to write every day when I'm vlogging every day. And that's not necessarily how my brain works. Like, I can definitely sit down and I will edit and work on things every single day, but it just kind of changes day by day of like when I want to do it, how much I'm going to do, because there's days where I can easily start editing 1 to 2 chapters and like fly through them. And then other days that it definitely takes me a little bit longer to get started, and I might not be in the mindset to like fully commit to an entire chapter. So like I said, I'm just kind of enjoying the speed I'm doing, but it's not necessarily great YouTube content. So I do apologize that these vlogs are kind of weird and all over the place, and sometimes I'm updating, sometimes I'm not. But I am going to try to be a little bit more consistent for the rest of the month. And my new goal is I'm not necessarily putting pressure on myself to finish my edits of this novel by the end of the month, because again, that's just like a deadline that I was doing for myself. I'm not doing it for anyone else, because this is my second priority book right now, as I'm focusing, well, I would like to focus more of my energy on the co-written book, where I have poured a lot of energy into, and I want to query that first. So like I said, I'm not like rushing to get this one done, but I'm enjoying the time and the commitment that I'm giving to it. So I think by doing that, it's making it a little easier for me to just kind of say I'm editing as I'm editing, and when it gets done, it gets done. I easily think I can get this entire book second draft done and read through once by the end of May, no doubt. But I think I'm going to still get a decent amount into it throughout the month of April. But considering we're almost halfway there, and I'm not halfway through the book like I thought I was going to be, you know, that's just something I'm going to acknowledge. So I hope that you guys are enjoying these vlogs. I am going to end it here. I'm probably not editing anymore tonight, but I did want to just kind of pop in and kind of spiel about where I'm at with writing. But just know that I am still having a lot of fun doing this, even if it's just at a slower rate. And I hope that you guys out there are powering through with your own word goals or editing goals or whatever goal you set out to do in the month of April. And, you know, hope the world issues aren't weighing on you too much. But until next week, I will see you then with my next vlog. And I hope you guys have a great third week of NaNo. Bye.